Welcome back to the channel. This is Digital Asset Sensei coming back to you to give you a hard system reboot. In order for you to get this generational wealth, you're going to have to educate yourself. You're going to have to learn the game. And you're going to have to be very careful where you place your allegiance. Because as consumers, we've placed our allegiance with the institutions, with the governments, with the banks, and they all did us dirty. And they will continue to do so because you don't understand the game. It is not about who likes you, who doesn't like you. It's about, are you in control of your own assets? As you pursue financial independence, I am here to teach you how to be your own bank, how to be your own hedge fund, how to be your own international monetary exchange. The technology now exists for you to do just that. But you're going to need some tools, and you're going to have to challenge yourself to learn. There's an old concept that goes by the name of buy, borrow, die. Okay? And that is, of course, for people with a traditional mindset that are trying to escape the banks. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When you give your money to the banks, it is no longer your money, it is theirs. Sure, they might give you some from time to time to keep up the illusion that it is your money, but it is not. And when they're ready to take it from you, they will. That's why they now have bail-ins instead of bail-outs. And it is perfectly legal for them to rob you. So therefore, we will no longer put our money with them. We will continue to move further and further away from the principle of force that they initiate on us. Because you now have the ability through blockchain technology, through DeFi, decentralized finance, to be your own bank, to have self-custody. And that's what I'm here to show you today. You're going to need some tools. You're going to need UPHOLD, because as you move away from the old system, because they are building, well, we have built the new system that they are now trying to control all over again. The very tools that you're using for liberation, which is blockchain and Bitcoin and all of the things that you use, they are trying to gain hold of that. This is why people that think they have Bitcoin today that are buying BTC is not Bitcoin. It is a deception of 2017 of Greg Maxwell and Jack Dorsey. You see, so the very thing that you are using for your liberation, they are coming to infiltrate once again and take over your ability to liberate yourself. They are trying to cut off all the exits because they need you and want you docile so you can build the world that they want to live in as you are a self-governed slave. We are here to talk about today. You need UPHOLD, you need KRAKEN, okay? You may even need Kinesis money, which is tokenized gold and silver. All right, you may even need MEXC, because you're going to need to take your depreciating asset, which is fiat, and move it into the cryptoverse. And you're going to have to learn how or when there is a taxable event generated and when there is not. So once again, I am not a financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor. No one understand that I am not trying to sell you anything. I am not trying to convince you of anything. Everything that I say here is for your benefit, for your education, for your edification. Should you choose to use it, you can become the master of your own finances. Okay? So, let's take a quick look at this. This is one of the individuals that I was watching, Mr. Alphonse. Okay? He's a very accomplished, successful person with a TradFi mentality, and he was going over the buy, borrow, die strategy. I watched the video in its entirety several times over to make sure I understood the emphatic exact nature of what he was speaking and the overall access of understanding the law of cause and effect. I understood that he was giving his allegiance to the institutions. Ultimately, he kept talking about buying a house and having a mortgage. But if you understand the esoteric, you understand that mortgage is a death grip. Once again, you have given your power to the banks for them to direct you and to have power over you. And they also have power of attorney, just like the last celebrity that I told you about in the last video. You see, where he lived off of him like an emperor for years, and when the last $2 million was left over, he took the last $2 million and ran to the Cayman Islands with his money. And now this celebrity is now destroyed and homeless because he didn't have self-custody. This is what I'm trying to teach you guys. You see, you can be successful. You can come into this game and you can try hard and you can do all the things, but at the end of the day, if you don't have self-custody, they will rob you. They will take everything away from you because the principle of force is upon you and you can't neutralize it. You can't redirect it. Okay? So instead of buy, borrow, die, what I would rather you do, I would rather you buy, borrow, and build. You see, you don't need to die. You just need to build. You just need to be in control of your own resources for yourself, for your family, and for all the people underneath your personal umbrella. And this is the wave of the future, and this is what we are here to talk about today. We're going to revisit the power of stable coins and or minting your own stable coins, ladies and gentlemen, so that you are using real world asset as collateral to mint your stable coin. And once you mint your stable coin, not only do you have the collateral earning yield, YLD, but you also have the USST stablecoin that you can use elsewhere or you can continue to use within the protocol and provide liquidity. This is the exact mechanism that makes you your own bank. It is the exact mechanism that allows you to apply the principle of liquid staking derivatives. It allows you to rinse and repeat. It allows you to apply a looping strategy. It allows you to make money while you're asleep. Let's take a quick look. This is stbl.com. We went over this yesterday, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing over again. All you got to do is watch the video from yesterday, but it's owning your economy. I'm just giving you a brief overview, and then we're going to hear from Reeve Collins himself, the man who created the #1 most powerful stablecoin in all of blockchain and or cryptocurrency, Tether, which he sold to Paul Arduino. All right, but this is about owning your own economy, self-custody. You see, do not give your power away to the banks and the institutions. Stay sovereign. STBL is money as a service infrastructure that you hold in your hand, ladies and gentlemen. It is monetary sovereignty. It is access to yield as you stay liquid. It is data visibility. It is instant interoperability. And everything is anchored to USST. That's right, the very coin that you minted. And when you want to increase your position, you have the stable coin to burn your yield position, thus returning the real world asset collateral that you put up, you see. So when you pay your loan back, you are getting back the collateral that you loaned yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Stability, liquidity, transparency, programmability, innovating how value is shared. Minters deposit collateral USST, the universal stablecoin, and YLD is an NFT that goes into your wallet, which continues to pay yield, which is approximately 4%, the same that you get from the government when you buy debt. Because this is all about understanding fiat and or the fractional reserve monetary system. And then, of course, you have the governance token itself, which is STBL, which is another coin. And then you can provide liquidity on the same platform. Okay, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, if we were to go back to the top and we were to take a quick look inside the app, what you would have to do is you would, of course, have to connect your wallet, and then all of these things will be available to you. And this is pretty much what it'll look like. Okay, you got rewards, blog, about, docs, and then you got get STBL. You can go there, or you can click here and go inside the app. Now, in order to access the features here, of course, you would have to connect your wallet. And if you understand DeFi, then you will do just fine, ladies and gentlemen. And you can go in here and you can do just that. I already went through this yesterday, so you can look at that video there. But let's hear from Reeve Collins himself as exactly what is happening with this and what power it gives you to be self-sovereign and lord and master of your own financial situation. If you go to my post here, you'll see first up on the list in the post is the Clarity Act makes a defining moment for the digital asset industry, not just as regulatory milestone, but as an architectural one. By creating clear distinctions between monetary utility and investment yield, the act establishes the foundation for a more sustainable, interoperable, and institutionally viable on-chain financial system. But regulatory clarity is only the beginning. The next era of crypto will be shaped by the infrastructure built on top of this framework. Infrastructure capable of supporting compliant liquidity, programmable finance, institutional scale participation, and intelligent value movement across ecosystems. Hear from STBL co-founder and chairman Reeve Collins on how STBL is positioning itself to help power this new regulatory era and why agentic payments and user-centric yield redistribution could redefine the future architecture of digital finance. So before I play this video for you guys, you will do very well as you fulfilling your responsibility to yourself, not to me. You fulfilling your responsibility to yourself to know and understand that this is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. I told you before, and I'll tell you once more, that the perfect user for the blockchain is not even humans. It's AI. And the perfect user for AI is AI agents. But you must be liquid, you must have capital, and you must not give yourself sovereignty away to someone else. So with that, let's take a quick look.
Manage wallets and passwords, etc. So now the user interface is all going to be.
Curious from your perspective, as someone who's been building in this space for so long, as one of the people who thought up Tether, how you're watching the evolutions of stablecoins and what you think is next on the horizon.
Well, it's an amazing point in time where the regulation, the governments, large institutions are finally catching up, because this past decade, stablecoins have proven themselves. Blockchain technology has proven itself. The use cases and the demand. Now that you can move money globally, instantly and for free, why do you have to wait 1 to 3 days for your bank to move the money, right? The technology's there. And the reason we're waiting is because regulation is not there. And regulation's finally catching up, realizing that stablecoins are the bridge to this new infrastructure that's going to upgrade the traditional financial system. So that's why there's so much excitement in the air today.
And Jen mentioned you are working on Stable now, which you've described as Stablecoins 2.0. What do you mean by that?
So my new company, STBL, is bringing about the evolution of the stablecoin. Over these past 10 years, we've seen that they work very well, but it's time to upgrade the infrastructure, or where the value is distributed. Because right now the value goes to the centralized issuers, but we have the technology today, all of that yield that's earned by those centralized companies, to distribute it to the people who've put the money into the system. It's not a yield-bearing stablecoin, so the system still issues a traditional type of stablecoin that's just a payment token, but it strips the yield and gives it to the user that put the money into the system. So we believe that that is the real future for stablecoins, when you can redistribute the wealth that is created from using these systems.
In traditional finance, what he just mentioned, bond stripping, that is a TradFi technique that you now have access to within your own platform.
Stablecoin. So the system still issues a traditional type of stablecoin that's just a payment token, but it strips the yield and gives it to the user that put the money into the system. So we believe that that is the real future for stablecoins, when you can redistribute the wealth that is created from using these systems.
Now we're talking about people using these systems. Like I said, I was just on stage talking about the future of agentic payments. How are you thinking about that? Like, as you build STBL, are you thinking about building building for machines rather than people?
Absolutely. It's kind of AI first, because we believe in the near future, most all of your payments will be executed by agents. And since that's the case, agents don't care about brand. They care about the best technology, what's going to be the fastest, most rewarding, most profitable for their master, for whoever is doing the transaction, for the user. And so these new technologies such as STBL that enables you all that yield to go to the user of the platform, or Wi-Fi that allows the users of the financial systems to reap the rewards, that's where I believe the future of AI and agent payments are going, are to those platforms that give the yield and the rewards to the users.
Another thing we've talked a lot about on both the show today and just in general at the conference is the Clarity Act, and Genius passing a year ago or so, but Clarity is more in line with what people are thinking about today. What do you think about the recent compromise, so to speak, on the front of stablecoins?
Look, it's a huge step in the right direction. So in the beginning, they're like, no yield whatsoever. And at least we got them a baby step saying, okay, you can't get yield on just idle deposits, but if you take some action, we'll figure out a right structure to provide the yield. So it's a big step in the right direction. And you know what? There's going to be another step in a year or two whenever the next round of regulation comes. Because as I said earlier, we have the technology to not only move the money very quickly, but to stop being such an extractive system and provide the value to the users of the system. The only thing slowing it down is regulation. It's going to take a little while because they're protecting the incumbents and they don't want this massive shift, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen because the product, the technology, and the ability to share the revenue is there, and you can't stop that.
It's inevitable. It will happen. The only question is, will you be there? Will you have a ticket to ride?
Consumers will demand it.
You said agents don't care about brand. I would think agents probably also don't care about user experience.
Right.
When we're thinking about the agentic future, I mean, does that kind of flip business models as we know them today? And what should builders who are here at this conference be thinking about as they build for that future?
Absolutely. The agentic future really is the interface moment to the blockchain, because to date it's still complicated for the average user to manipulate or manage wallets and passwords, etc. So now the user interface is all going to be managed by an agent. And what people should build for is to make sure their product's the best and most rewarding for their consumers, because that's where the agent's going to go. It's not about the best brand or the best logo or the best conference booth. It's about who provides the best product.
I think there are some marketing departments that are not going to like to hear that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think kind of going off of that too is when I think about stablecoins too, a lot of people are talking about stablecoin issuers and then whether or not you should be using the quote unquote like big stablecoins that are out there today, one of which you helped create. But then also like where do you capture value? So how do you think about that from your perspective, and like who should really own the value here?
Absolutely. That's the premise of stablecoin 2.0.
Yeah.
Is the fact that the value, the yield, will go to those who put the money into the system. If you think about it, there's over $200 billion within the stablecoin ecosystem, well over $200 billion, and none of the people that put those dollars in are the ones getting the yield. The centralized issuers get that yield, and sometimes they share a little bit. We now have the technology to make sure that the moment you put that money into the system, you get the yield, you get to control it. And I believe that's where the future is going.
Now you have the ability of being a centralized digital asset issuer. This is the power that is at your fingertips. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, now that you have gotten your cold system reboot, it is time for you to take action. Knowledge is not power. Only when you act on the knowledge do you have the ability to manifest and to take charge of your own destiny, ladies and gentlemen. So, my financial warriors, let's get in position. Let's take action. And let's get this crypto.